Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on the newly launched New Zealand Sports Radio. Oh dear, try and get it out properly. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be here at 8 a.m. every morning bringing you your sports briefing across all sports to get you ready for the day ahead. I might be looking a little bit scruffy, but that's because in these times I'm going for the ISO beard, #ISO beard, to support local businesses. So during this lockdown, if you can support your local business, please do, because they are obviously struggling at the moment. On the update today, we have updates on the New Zealand Rugby and the England Cricket Board on their cost-cutting measures. We have the results of those talks around the Wimbledon Tennis Association, Wimbledon Tennis Tournament, and an update on the Phoenix playing a game. Wow. Finally, we'll also be hearing about the NRL and two players unfortunately being delisted. But we'll kick off with the football. And Steve, please go bring us an update on how the football is going.
Yep, it's been all happening in the A-League in the last 24 hours, Paul, with more players being stood down, pay disputes and potential free agents rolling out of clubs in the last day or so. More on that stuff in a second, but first, we've got something a bit more positive amongst all the negativity that's going on around sport at the moment. We spoke yesterday a little bit about the effect gaming is having in this lockdown, and right on cue later that day, the Wellington Phoenix, well, they rolled straight into action. It was the A-League distance derby, the longest derby in football between the Perth Glory and the Wellington Phoenix. Actually took place last night. The two sides clashed on FIFA 20, like we talked about, at 9 p.m. New Zealand time, and it had a viewing party of about 400 to 500 people for the whole fixture on the Phoenix Facebook page, which is a pretty good little following. So make sure you go check out the Facebook page and their Twitter account so you don't miss out if they do play a next match. The game, however, was a bit of a dull affair. Diego Castro scoring the opening and only goal of the fixture on 33 minutes with a well-placed left-foot shot from the far post after a nice low cross coming from the right-hand edge. It was 1-0 at half-time. It was 1-0 at full-time. The Phoenix did dominate the whole fixture, but despite the encouraging support that they were receiving in the chat, they couldn't put anything past goalkeeper Liam Reddy in the Glory box. The Glory, though, did soak up a lot of the game and a lot of pressure. That's the word I'm thinking of. But they took the only chance they needed. Not the result the Phoenix looking for their first real big match since the lockdown. But hopefully they'll be back in action very, very soon. So again, make sure you go check out the Phoenix social media. Go check out their Twitter. Go check out their Facebook and see what they're up to in the future. Hopefully some more matches coming your way. Back to reality, though. The Australian Players Union, the PFA, is putting player welfare first by helping players try and gain free agency to walk away from their contracts if they continue to go unpaid for an even longer extended period of time. The PFA has urged clubs to resolve their revenue issues instead of standing squads down without consultation. Now, while it sounds all strong and mighty by the PFA, who the hell wants to be a free agent right now anyway? Who's going to sign a new player? Who's going to sign an uncontracted player? I know. The Belarusian Premier League. Yeah, that's their only option. Where else are they going to go? The Western City Wanderers are the latest A-League team to stand down their entire squad yesterday, and they join a growing list alongside the Perth Glory, the Central Coast Mariners, Adelaide United, and the Newcastle Jets, who have already done the same. The Brisbane Roar and Western United are expected to follow suit this week, and the situation probably is only going to get worse as clubs will likely be without their final quarter broadcasting deal, which pours about 800 to 900k into each club. And to rub salt to the wound, Fox Sport is anticipating to pull the plug and walk away on the remaining 3 years on their $57 million per year deal with the competition due to the pandemic. So money, it's just going everywhere except the players. Finally, though, in EPL and EFL clubs, they had a meeting on Wednesday to discuss how the clubs will deal with the matters regarding wages and deferral of payments. Now, this is over in England for the Premier League and the football leagues. Well, tell you what, they didn't really decide too much, did they? They had a lot of talk, not much action over there. The Players Union, FIFPro, has warned against standardising the wage cuts, stating that measures taken by the elite clubs, like we've talked about in previous days, cannot be transferred downwards to teams that are in League 1 or League 2 that just don't have the money that the big teams like Juventus and that we've talked about that already have. Some clubs, though, like Leeds and Birmingham City, credit to them, their players already agreed to pay cuts. But massive criticism is being dumped on Tottenham, Newcastle and Norwich. This is big English clubs who have opted to get government support for its non-playing staff while still paying full wages to their players, which is a bit wrong, it seems. The FA have not shut the door on the season just yet. However, they've suspended the leagues indefinitely. So we did have a end of April sort of date. Now they've just said, we don't know. So the earliest thought they're going to go for now is the end of April. So they're just doing it month by month, it seems. The clubs will be desperate though to finish the season, because if they don't, they'll be well aware that they could owe the broadcasters around £760 million for not completing the season. So in our really poor currency at the moment, it'll be about 1.6 million. You wouldn't get too much change out of that. This morning they did also announce UEFA that the Champions League and Europa League matches have all been suspended until further notice. So we won't be seeing any more of those in the due course. That is football, Paul. A big day, really, especially in the A-League.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned in there, or the Belarus League is the only Belarus Premier League is the only live sport we have going. So we have all decided to take a team and support a team from the Belarus League. Steve, why don't you kick us off with telling us the team that you've decided to back?
My team is FC Torpedo. So FC Torpedo are a club sponsored by the city's machine building factory called Bel Z. So we're hoping some good performance from them. They're currently sitting mid-table and they're based in a place called Zodino.
There you go. I have decided to back Sluchsk, which is just south of Minsk, and basically because I think I might have some chance of getting somewhere near the pronunciation. And again, they sit sixth in the table so far after 2 rounds. So looking forward to see how they go. Ashwin, which team are you going to back?
I've picked Dynamo Brest, and I'll give a geography lesson on that. I'll save that for tomorrow's show, or next week when I'm on.
They sit currently in 5th. Stephen, which team have you decided to go for?
Yeah, well, it shows you how much I know about that league, because I've picked the team that's running stone at last at this time, Gorodaya. Don't really know a lot about them, but all I can probably say at the moment, they're pretty much looking like the donkey in the field.
So there you go, folks. We will bring you updates as to how the scores go on after the weekend, and let you know how our teams are going. Don't worry, we won't be spending big sections on the Belarus Premier League, but hey, it's the only sport there is around at the moment that's live, so we thought we would keep an eye on it. Moving on to rugby. New Zealand Rugby have confirmed more about their staff pay cuts. That all staff, including the board and the All Blacks management, are taking a 40% pay cut. And this will be for a 3-month period, after which that will be reviewed. Pay cuts for the All Blacks and the Super Rugby players are in talks, and apparently they are progressing quite well at the moment. They've also announced a bailout package for the Super Rugby franchises who have pretty much lost all of their income streams, with a rescue package of 1.25 or $1.25 million New Zealand dollars. The provincial unions will still receive their full funding, which is good because it's grassroots rugby that we do need to keep alive, let's be honest. But whether the Mitre 10 Cup and the Farah Palmer Cup will happen, that is not yet set in stone. They're still waiting to see what's going to be happening, and they're willing to be flexible, or they will be flexible with the 2020 calendar. Super Rugby is still, or a small New Zealand-based Super Rugby is still on the cards, though. The good thing about this is they've put they've put together a working group which does include the players, and as we've heard earlier, not all leagues around the world are consulting or keeping their players in the loop. Over in Australia, Rod Kafer has given a scathing interview about Raelene Castle. Now, what we must remember here is that he is part of the Fox network, who are negotiating for TV rights, so we do have to question sometimes his impartiality. And there's also going to be question marks, I guess, as well, that he was an employee of the ARU, so he was part of the ARU setup until recently. So an interesting one from him. The players, though, are not happy with the lack of transparency from the ARU around those decisions as well. So it's involving the players and involving all the stakeholders, and transparency does not appear to be the order of the day for many sports organisations. Yesterday we heard that the the English Football League is having problems, is getting potentially issues with their non-league leagues about the fact they've scrapped promotion and relegation for this season. The RFU have got a similar problem, as they have also scrapped the season below the Gallagher Premiership, but they have not made a decision yet on promotion and relegation. They'll be deciding that mid-month. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about trying to sort that one out. As I say, it's causing problems in the for English football. Now I'm just going to hand you over to Stephen, who will be taking you through all the birthdays today.
Yeah, some birthdays in history this morning, and once again, welcome to everybody who's either streaming or listening through Facebook. We'll start in 1926, so we're going way back. Jack Abraham. Who was Jack Abraham? Jack Abraham was the Australian auto racer and team owner. He was also a collector of the OBE, that's the Order of British Empire, and the AO, which is the Order of Australia. He was a World Formula One champion in 59, 60, and 66, and he was born on this day in Sydney, Australia. We come forward a little bit to just after the war. Cricketer Richard Collins, a New Zealand cricketing fast bowler, 35 tests, 116 wickets, and who can ever forget his performance in our first ever test victory against England back in 1978. The first innings he took 3 for 42, second innings 3 for 45. He was born in Wellington on this day. We come forward again to 1960, Linford Christie, the British athlete, Olympic gold medalist in the 100 metres in 1992 in Barcelona. He was born in St Andrews, Jamaica on this day. And finally, a player that we all have a bit of time for on this side of the ditch, Michael Clarke, the Australian cricketer, batsman and captain. 115 tests, 8,643 runs at an average of 49.10. Scored 28 100s, which is pretty handy. Played 245 ODIs. He's currently a broadcaster with the Nine Network, and Fox Sport was born on this day.
Well, happy birthday to all of them. And talking of cricket, let's pass over to Arshim for our cricket update.
Well, morning everybody, and hope everybody's having a great morning already. But just showing what a time of flux that we're in already. After reporting yesterday the ECB would be paying all their contracted players full salaries, today we're talking about the fact that they're asking them to take a 20% pay cut. Now the PCA, which is the Professional Cricket Association, have at this stage declined the offer. Although it is not known whether they've spoken to the players themselves. The PCA is also of the view that there should only be pay cuts as a last resort, which sort of rather different to what's happening in all the sports around the world. As we go to Australia on the same sort of line, Australian cricketers seem to be on the same page as the people that run their game. Although the financial crisis hasn't hit the ACB just as yet because they've got downtime in their program due to things like the IPL that would have been on, they are actually planning to move away from fixed salaries to a new percentage-based model. So what that means is basically if you're on a $2 million salary, instead of being paid that salary, you'll get match payments, performance bonuses, and marketing appearances, fees for marketing appearances. So moving to a little bit something lighter is we've sort of got Tabraz Shamsi from South Africa, who had a baby just before the lockdown was announced in South Africa, and he's commenting about how difficult it is to be a parent, and finding out that there's a lot of housework required around the house once a baby arrives. So to quote Shamsi, "I didn't know fatherhood was going to be this hard. It's non-stop." And that's pretty much the sports cricket news today, Paul.
Yeah, I think quite a few of us understand that it's non-stop. One man that does is Stephen Harris, bringing us up to date with the NRL.
Well, it's all been about pay cuts, but here's two players that probably won't be seeing any wages anytime soon, shall I say, because Canterbury Bulldogs players Jaden Ockenberg and Corey Harawira-Naera were deregistered by the NRL on Wednesday. and had their contracts cancelled, which was supported by the Bulldogs. Now, this was pretty much for the Schoolgirls 6 scandal that occurred during a team trip to Port Macquarie in February. NRL 360 host Paul Kent and former Canterbury skipper Michael Ennis have applauded the Bulldogs club handling of this situation. Kent pretty much told Fox League Live that the cards were marked the moment that it happened. Let's remember, I think this is important in current times, that the day this happened, Canterbury were about to announce the $2 million sponsorship. They lost that $2 million sponsorship because of the actions of these players and boys. That just showing how vital that is in these particular hard times that we are having, guys. Just looking, although on saying that, just other stories in the league that we're pretty much looking at the moment. West Tigers centre Josh Leilua, beg your pardon, has told Fox Sports that at this time he doesn't understand why somebody like Todd Greenberg is actually only having a 25% pay decrease compared to Greenberg. Compared to the players who are having a 75% pay decrease at this time. He's pretty much come out and said, if the players have to agree to 75% pay cut, why not the executives at headquarters as well? He just says he doesn't agree with it. I'm here for the players. Everybody who I've spoken to is asking the same question. And he's pretty much put himself out there, and he said, without the players, we haven't got a game, which I think is a little bit over the top, if you know what I mean, in these tough times. But on saying that, Todd Greenberg has had a little bit of support from Joel Thompson, who was with the Rugby League Players Association. In fact, he's one of the directors, and he's a player as well, and who also plays for Manly. He's pretty much tweeted, this guy needs to relax. I can guarantee you all, everybody involved is working hard to keep the game moving forward and to survive. We'll be retired one day, and the next crop of players will come in. It's important rugby league lives on forever, guys. So tell you what, there's not a lot of action on the field at the minute, but plenty happening off the field.
Thank you very much, Stephen. There does seem to be a trend that some sports seem to have handled this better than others, and I think that will tell in the way their fans view those sports over time. Wimbledon is one of those ones that has taken the action. I think we mentioned yesterday that they will be making a call in the next 48 hours. They have made a call and they have cancelled the Wimbledon Championships. The entire grass court season has now been abandoned, and there's no professional tennis until the 13th of July. The French Open was delayed or postponed from May out to September and October, and there is talk that the US Open will need to be changed as well. The netball in New Zealand got through one round of their sport, and they are hoping. They also have taken pay cuts. They're looking hopefully to resume this year. Their problem though is that a lot of the players, whilst they're full time for the 7 months of the season, they are either studying or working for the other 5 months of the year. So how much flexibility do they have to move into that? And finally, NFL has extended its playoffs by 2 teams per conference from this year onwards. So there'll be 6 matches across the wildcard weekend, 2 more than instead of the normal 4. Second seed will play 7th, third seed will play 6th seed, and 4th seed will play 5th seed. So getting that first seed and getting that bye will be all important for NFL teams. And we have some breaking news in the cricket, so I'm going to pass you back over to Arthur.
Yeah, just news coming through that the ECB is looking quite seriously at cancelling the county championship for the entire 2020 season. I'll bring you more on that, or John will bring you more on that tomorrow morning as the details come out.
Thank you very much. And then finally, we have a 3-hole golf course appeared in a New Zealand reserve during the national lockdown, equipped with greens, flags and fairways. There was the backyard course at Trumanoa Reserve in West Auckland's Glendine was discovered on Monday. But Auckland Council has advised people against using it and has ordered that the flags get removed. So if you manage to quickly get on that golf course, you may have the course record for eternity, as that course is now being closed down, unfortunately, for our golfers. Thank you very much, everybody, to Stephen and Arswin for coming on the show, and for all of you who are supporting the Supporters Radio Show by watching us. This is the first show on the New Zealand Sports Sports Radio. We'll be adding extra shows over the coming weeks with opinion shows, features, in long form interviews, and also talk back. And I'm even thinking of adding in a quiz show as well. So get your quiz hats on, folks. Finally, there will be a podcast coming out over the next 2 days, so if you prefer to listen rather than watch, I'll be announcing that over the next 2 days. So look out for that as well. Thank you, everybody, for supporting this new venture, and stay safe, folks, and enjoy whatever sport you can find.